So, good morning, everyone. Let's get started with today's session. And today also we're going to continue with the same topic, which is motion EMF. One of you have your audio on, and please take care of that audio. Security. Okay. So we'll continue with same motional EMF. So we'll look at some more application, and we'll also look at what happens when the conductor is in rotation. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get started. Okay, so what we had done yesterday, see, this is something just in very short, we have to, how do you find EMF? EMF came equal to something like this. EMF is, we had to write that expression, EMF is equal to V cross B and dot DL. That was the EMF expression. And if B is uniform, in that case, even the if magnetic field is uniform, that same expression, rather than writing dot DL, it can be written as V cross B dot L vector. And L vector is the vector journeying from the initial point to the final point. And this is nothing but triple product. So we can write it something like this. So it follows the property of a triple product. There are two cases when triple product is zero. Can you tell us what are the two cases when triple product becomes zero? One case when all three are coplanar, thus one it becomes zero. What is the other case when triple product becomes zero? Can anyone tell what is the other case when the triple product of three vectors becomes zero?
When two are collinear.
Third vector.
Two are collinear. So basically, if two are collinear, the cross product will become zero, it becomes zero, but two are collinear. So any two vectors collinear also lead to zero. That's what we can follow. So let's look at the question here and try to solve this question. So all of you read the question first. And we'll try to solve it two methods. One method using a triple product, vector method. And second thing, without use the vector also can we solve this question. Okay, what is given here? And this is the rod which is given. And this velocity. And all three are given. So can we write all three vectors which are involved here in unit vector form? B is already given in vector form. And velocity also is actually, from the figure it is mentioned, B is equal to 2I cap. How about L vector here? Magnitude is 5. So this L vector, which is like this, it can be resolved as this L vector also we can write in unit vector form. It becomes equal to 5 cos 53I cap plus 5 sin 53 J cap. So all three are in unit vector form. I can find the triple product. So first we can find V cross B, and then we can find that one. See, can we solve without using the cross product? This is, let's try and understand how do you solve without using the cross product. What is the second method without using this cross product? Can we? So finally, we are going to get a scalar quantity only. Okay. So what we understand here. See, first of all, when we look at the B has a component in the plane of motion. B also has a component perpendicular to the plane of the motion. So first we identify, when you look at the method, mostly let's see what is the plane of motion. Which plane is this object moving? Plane of motion. Can we define the plane of motion here? L vector and velocity vector both put together. So plane of motion is XY plane. I hope all are clear. So plane of motion is XY plane. So which is the B component? So if I write this B also, we take two parts here. One part if I take this component of B. So what is the EMF due to BX? What would be due to EMF due to X component? If I split I'm splitting this into two parts, X component and sorry, what I'm saying, not X component, Y component. What will the EMF due to Y component?
Zero.
Zero. Why zero? Tell me.
It's in the plane of motion.
So all three become coplanar. No, so EMF is only due to component which is perpendicular. So when we take perpendicular component, what would be the EMF in that case? In that case, so basically this component doesn't matter. Only we are left with perpendicular component, which is equal to 4K cap. Now, in this particular case, this is L vector. Is a vector quantity. Can I resolve this vector also? Let's see whether if I resolve the vector, what would it look like? So let me resolve this vector into two components. This is L vector. So I resolve into two parts. See, this one is along x-axis. This is x component, and this side is y component. So I have, okay.
Sir, we can take the component of velocity perpendicular to the
Yes,
length.
we can do that also. No, we can do that also. We can do this also. Both ways we can do that. But let's see whether let me have taken one way. When we have like this, so it is equivalent to have resolved into x component and y component. Why this particular part of the conductor? It is moving in this velocity. There's no EMF developed in this part. Why is no EMF developed in this part here? Pranav Soma, can you tell me why there's no EMF in this part, LX part?
Because length and velocity are collinear.
Collinear. Very good. So LX, no EMF because both are collinear. That's why this point is important. I'm very happy. Very nicely you said. EMF, no EMF as LX is collinear with velocity. And so what are we left with only? So it is only due to this component. So we can directly align. Now all three are perpendicular. How much is Ly here? Ly will be 5 sine 53, which will be equal to 0.8 into 5. So that is 5 meter. So this will be 4 meter Ly. So what will be EMF? EMF will be equal to Ly into V into Bz. That will be equal to 4 into 2 into 4. That is 32 volts. And if we solve this method also, we'll come to the same thing. So I thought this gives you some more insight what is happening. We have understood two parts. We understood first part. We understood why this component will not contribute to any EMF, and then we also understood if we take the L into two components, why this part will not any contribute. Third method, what he could have done, the velocity also we could have resolved into two components. So either we can resolve L or we can resolve velocity. Each way we can solve. Let's look at the next question. All of you read the question carefully and then think of how do we solve this question. What is the nature of magnetic field? How do I define this magnetic field? Is it uniform or is it steady?
It's a varying along
This
the
magnetic field here, is it uniform? It's a non-uniform magnetic field. It's changing its position. But is it steady? It's not changing with time. So this is a uniform but steady magnetic field. Okay, this is not changing with time. So magnetic field region is given like this. A square loop of length D. So let's place this square loop. And each side is DD. This side is also D and D. It is placed with the edge along the X and Y axis. This moved with a constant velocity V equal to V naught I. So which direction the velocity is given? This is the direction in which the velocity is given. Okay, and let me call the four sides as A, B, C, D. Okay, so I'll solve. Okay, not A, B, C, D because these are already there. So we just call it PQRS. Okay, these four sides are PQRS. Okay, there are two ways. See, I'm solving in more general way. Let's see at particular instance, it is at some distance from here. Okay, it's already at a distance R. Okay, so will the EMF induced in the loop, will it be a function of R or will it be independent of R? That's what I'm checking now. So I'm moving the constant velocity. What is the EMF induced when the nearer edge is at a distance R from Y axis? Can we calculate EMF? What are the way to calculate EMF? There are two ways of calculating EMF. One way of calculating, what are two ways? Can someone tell me what are the two methods of calculating EMF here? What are two methods? Method A and method B. One method could be, see, this is something, since the magnetic field is changing with X coordinate, what I need to do here. So if first way of calculation would be, I calculate flux through this loop. How would I calculate flux? For calculation of flux, since magnetic field is changing with X coordinate, I need to take a narrow strip here, so that change in X becomes negligible. So I take a narrow strip here and I calculate d phi. So what will the d phi be equal to? D phi at a distance X and dx, this width is dx, and at a distance X from here. So what is the flux through this this particular narrow strip? Field is perpendicular to the plane. So d phi will be equal to area into B. So area is equal to d into dx. And magnetic field at that position is equal to B naught. In place of x, I'll put the x coordinate. This is A. And so what will the total phi? I can calculate total phi. Total flux to this entire loop. In that case, x is varying from R to R plus D. So I can integrate this d phi from where to where? From R to R plus D. And then I calculate EMF will be equal to d phi by dt. Okay. And this definite integration you would have done, this variable also you can calculate. That's one method. Can we think of a second method of calculation of EMF here?
We can take each side as a rod. And
Yes,
fold
we
it
can
up.
take 4 rods. So what you can do, rather than calculating for the whole loop, I'll calculate what is the EMF developed through each side of the loop. Second method, each side of the loop. When we say each side of the loop, out of 4 sides, 2 sides will not have any EMF. Which 2 sides will not have an EMF? Length is along the same direction as velocity. 2 sides, which is QR and PS, will not have an EMF. So we are left with only 2. So we'll calculate what is the EMF through PQ. That is easy. That is BLV. All 3 are mutually perpendicular. So only thing, what is B at a distance R? That's what I'll write. L length is L. That length is D here. Velocity is V. And what is B at a distance R? That's what I'll substitute here. This is equal to B naught 1 plus R by A. And similarly, if I take RS in place of RS, it will be equal to this term will be same, this term will be same. Only thing what will happen, B naught will change. B naught will be in place of R, it will be equal to R plus D by A. And I am not explaining, but what will happen, these 2 EMF, see both, this also is moving towards right. Which direction this is a dot. So both EMFs will develop in the same direction or in the opposite direction. So I can replace both as battery. So in PQ side, what will be the orientation of the battery? What will be the orientation? In PQ, what will be the orientation of the battery? I can find first V cross B. What is V cross B direction in this case? First, in both the cases, V cross B direction is I cap cross K cap is equal to minus. So this is direction of FB. So FB direction, this is downward direction. It means battery will be like this. This is how both side battery will be. So what we notice here, if you look at the total EMF in the loop, both batteries are in the opposite sense. So we'll have to take what is the net EMF difference of the 2. So when we take the difference, we subtract from this to this, that's the EMF. What is net EMF? If I call this as E1, and this is called as E2, next net EMF will be equal to, okay, mod, or we can directly write is E2 minus E1. So when we subtract from this, what will happen? Okay, which term will remain? Only this term will remain. The rest all will cancel out. So it will be equal to dV B naught. And what will remain? D by A. So that's the EMF developed. Okay. So we could have done both ways. We can, some of you are interested, you can try. This is slightly longer. This is easier method. Sorry, I missed one more point, telling one more point here. At least for the rod is concerned, all along the length of the rod, B is constant. So B is varying with X, but this rod, this portion of the rod is this all along the rod, length of X value coordinate is same. That's why I can use this equation. For applying this equation, what has to happen? Along the length of the rod, B has to be uniform. And here for this particular length also B is uniform for this rod. Even though overall B field is not uniform, since the rod is have constant value of X here, PQ as well as RS, hence we can do that. Okay, this question had come in the past and it's difficult to figure out what they mean here. So 2 YouTube slides, YouTube can slide. This is something I think you can read this question. But what they imply is something like this. You have to draw a figure, it's something like this. So you have, it could be, it can extend in the perpendicular dimension also, but this is, you can think of two U-shaped rods are sliding into each other. It could be two U-shaped rods, or it could be extension also. Whether you can extend in the third dimension, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is something the way the question has been given and the way figure has been given, it doesn't give clarity. But moment I interpret this is what is implied, it becomes much easier. So what is given here? There's a uniform magnetic field. They can slide into each other and maintaining the contact between the tubes. So since there's a contact here, it becomes a loop. So this time there's a contact at this point also. So each tube move towards each other at a constant speed v. So this also is moving towards other one with the velocity v. And this also is moving towards v. So the question is, what is the EMF developed in the loop at the constant speed v? BLV. All the rest of terms are standard. And this time I will not spend too much of time. When both are moving towards each other, previous case we have seen, when the both are moving in the same direction, EMF becomes a difference. When they are moving in the same direction, EMF will add up. So what will the net EMF in this particular case? Net EMF in this loop will be, how do I calculate? I take this side. Again, I take four sides. No EMF due to this, anyway it is not in motion, and no EMF here also. EMF is only due to motion of this part and this part. When they move towards each other, they will tend to add up. So net EMF will be twice of BLV. So that will be 2 BLV answer. Let's look at this question here. So all of you read the question here first carefully.
Sir,
Yes.
in the previous question, why did they give the two outer tubes, sir?
This is something I did that, if you look at this, it looks like there are two tubes and all. See, the question which was given, it was not clear. And one may think of, okay, so this is something tube means, though it is drawn like this, it is something like this. You have to visualize it is like this. You understand what I'm saying then? It has certain thickness. It is only one piece. So this is a very odd figure given here. So this is difficult to interpret. But even if it moves, okay. So question may come: should I take? Even if I take the tube like this, will it? This part will be one rod or two rods here up here? Should I take this as one rod or two rod up, Alad? See, when we take a rod, if the rod has certain width also, it doesn't matter. Still, it remains same. Potential difference remains same. So even if it has certain thickness here, it does not matter. It does not alter the result. Okay.
So it will alter if it's under a non-uniform magnetic field, right?
Yes, it will alter only if it is non-uniform. Since it is uniform, it doesn't matter. I got my point here. Since it's uniform, it won't alter. Both the cases answer will be same. Let's look at this question. What we notice here, which is the rod which is in motion? This blue color rod only is in motion. Red color is at rest. It is connected to capacitor. I think this got not very neatly drawn. Both sides are equal. There's a capacitor connected, and it moves with a constant velocity. So moment of what is directed into this is the capacitor connected. Then what is the charge on the plates A and B? The first thing what we notice, moment we see a rods moving with a constant velocity, there will be constant EMF developed in the rod. What is the constant EMF which will develop? Equal to BLV. Constant EMF will be equal to BLV. That's the EMF which will develop. And let's find the polarity. So it is, this rod will be equivalent to battery. How do we find the polarity? Since there's a loop, I can find the polarity of battery quite easily. How do we find? If this rod is moving, what is happening? Flux is increasing. It will oppose the increase by creating a field in the opposite direction. Hence, induced field will be dot. Are you clear? If it moves, flux is increasing. Opposed by creating a field in the current, such a way it induced field is in this direction. It means current has to be in which direction? What has to be direction of current? To create a dot field, direction of current has to be something like this. If it is current has to flow like this, this is the polarity of the battery. This is how the battery will be, and EMF of the battery is equal to BLV. And this battery will have a constant voltage. And since in this question, there's no resistance given, if there's no resistance, EMF of the battery will be equal to potential difference across the plates of the capacitor. So what will the charge on the capacitor? I have marked the polarity. After marking the polarity, the plate which is connected to positive terminal will have positive charge. Plate which is connected to negative terminal will have negative charge. And charge on the capacitor, what is charge on the capacitor? Charge on the capacitor Q is equal to C into V. So what is the answer? C. In place of V, we substitute BLV and we put those values, we get our answer. Very simple calculation. Okay, let's look at read this question first. This whole thing is placed in the vertical plane. So these are what is given: A, B, and C, D are fixed conducting smooth rails. Whenever rail means resistance is 0. Large cross section. These are so A and B. These are kept in vertical line, and this is like this two sides of the door frame, vertical sides, and joined by constant current source. You understand here? Whichever way it is, the current will remain constant. So this current will not change. Okay, and horizontal uniform magnetic field exists. Since field is uniform and this is vertical, field will be perpendicular. The field also is given perpendicular to the plane here. A rod PQ is released from rest. This rod is released. It is in touch with it is sliding on these two rails here. Okay. So this rod, the current is constant. The question is asking, if we release the rod, will it first of all move with the constant acceleration? Will it move with the non-constant acceleration? Will it move upwards? Will it move downwards? How do I figure it out? So this becomes a laws of motion question. I need to look at rod, which are the forces acting on the rod. Since it's smooth rail, friction is not acting. So what are forces acting on the rod? Only two forces acting, this in the vertical plane. So mg will act downwards. And there's EMF induced, but EMF is immaterial because this source maintains constant current. So if this current is I here, same current has to flow through this also. So current is constant regardless of what EMF is generated. If current is constant, magnetic force also will be constant. So what we notice here, EMF developed will not have much significance. Why it has no significance? Yes, EMF developed would have led to current, but this source, whatever current it adjusts, it maintains the constant current. So it negates the effect of the EMF developed here. So as current is constant, two forces are acting. Which direction is FB acting? And since the current is constant, so FB also is constant. FB is equal to ILB. None of these things are changing. And which direction FB will act? Very easily you can find out FB will act in the upward direction. Since two forces are constant, naturally if two forces only acting, so if both the forces are constant, it implies what? Acceleration as constant. Actually, I should have used not word constant. Yeah, constant also implies almost the same thing. Actually, both are steady. Both are not changing with time. What does it imply? Acceleration also is constant. But question is, will it move up or down? It will move up and down depending on which one is more. It depends on relative strength of ILB or mg. We don't know which case it is. So if the current is large, FB may exceed mg, it may move upwards. If current, it may also happen, it may remain at rest. If current is small, it may move downwards. So that's what our analysis. Let's look at the option here. The rod will move downwards with a constant acceleration, possible. Rod may move upward with a constant acceleration, possible. Rod may move downward with decreasing acceleration, not possible. So what are the correct option? Either A or B.
Sir,
Yes?
what about the effect of the upper rod, sir? The current through the AC.
No, you see, this one is fixed, AC rod.
It has a magnetic field also.
Right. Yeah, but this is fixed. Even force acts also. Does it affect the motion of PQ? Does it affect the motion of PQ? It will not. We are only concerned about motion of PQ.
I mean, yes, sir. If PQ moves, then even the field will change, right? So different force will act due to that AC part.
See, whenever we come across question, I have mentioned, is this, is the statement correct? When we say, when we took look at the question, then at this point, I will not repeat again. I'll repeat when we say uniform, horizontal uniform magnetic field, it means the whatever way all things put together, field is not changing. And from the terms of this question, is your question correct? Suppose I maintain a field V here. Initially the field was B before the rod was allowed to move. If the rod starts moving, before the rod moved, okay, before that rod moved also, there is a current here, there was some field. As the rod starts moving, the current will remain same, the distance will change. If the distance change, will the field in this area change? Actually it may change, but will the field in the region of rod may change? That will not change. Will the field in the region of rod will change, or yes or no? What you are saying now, if there's a current flowing in this rod, this also will create field. As the distance is changing, the field here also changing. Is the question asking that? As far as solving this question, that is irrelevant. But is this statement correct? As this rod start moving, will the field due to current in this part also, will the field in the rod will change in the position rod? Yes, it will change.
We have to
Statement is correct,
assume
but
the
as,
infinite.
pardon me?
We have to assume a long distance.
So basically, see, when we look at, I have told this, I'm repeating last time, this analysis is correct. But is that analysis necessary for solving this question? No. When I look at this option, it is not asking you to evaluate the effect. Okay. So what it is assuming, net field remains constant. So when we say field is constant, put all effects of whatever is producing magnetic field, take factor in everything. After factoring everything also, the field remains constant. So just take it as constant one and solve. But that is this logic correct? Yes, logic is correct. If the current flows, the distance changing, it will have its effect. Okay, let's look at this question. So first thing, can we draw a figure? Figure may look like this. The two long pillars sit over. This is one conductor. This is another conductor. So there are four conductors. They are forming in a square here. Two other parallel conductors rest on them at right angle. They form a square of side A initially. So initially, yes, they form a square of side A. Okay. And uniform magnetic field exists at right angle to the plane containing the conductors. They start all moving out with a constant velocity v. So this also moves with velocity v. This also moves with velocity v. And this all velocity v. What we need to find here, and if R is the resistance per unit length of the wire, then what is the current in the circuit at that instance? What we need to find. So if R is the resistance per unit length, in this loop at this instance, what is the total resistance? Total resistance will be resistance per unit length into length of the loop. So at this instance, at the given instance, what is the resistance of the loop? Anish, what is the resistance of the loop? Then this is a loop which is formed. What is the length of the loop here, Anish?
A.
The each side is A. The length of the loop will be 4A. So the current will follow the entire loop. This is how the current loop is formed. So since the resistance is given, R is the resistance per unit length. So resistance will be equal to R into length of the loop, which is equal to 4A. So this is what is the resistance. Resistance is R equal 4AR. 4RA is the resistance. Now, how would I calculate EMF here? And if do you have an idea how to calculate EMF in this loop?
Due to the two, I mean, we need to consider only two sides. Of the,
Why? Because all four sides are in motion. See, all cases, what is happening? Even this side also, it is not moving in this direction. It is moving in which direction? It is moving in this direction. All four sides are moving perpendicular to length. So all will generate EMF. Okay, are you following this point here?
yes.
So this also what? They're all moving. And we have seen earlier also, when they move in the same direction, EMF tends to cancel out. When they move in the opposite direction, EMF tends to add up. Are you following now? So EMF in the loop,
Yes, sir.
we have seen in case of earlier, for uniform field. When do EMF add up? When they move in the opposite direction. When move in opposite direction. They'll tend to add up. So one way of thinking would be, this will have an EMF, this rod. What is the EMF this will have? B into L into V. So B, length is A into V. So this is BAV, this also will be BAV. Similarly, this also will be BAV, this also will be BAV. And all are actually, if you can see, all are creating effect in the same direction. Why are all additive? Can give some logical reason why we can add all the EMFs?
Flux is increasing. And
All are tending to increase the flux. So all are having same effect. So we can notice that one. So each side, that's one way of solving. You can solve in multiple ways. Each side will have EMF equal to BAV. All are in the same sense. I can find, you can mark the battery, it will add up, but without marking the battery also, all are in the same sense. Same sense means all are trying to induce current in the same direction. That's what same sense means. All batteries are trying to induce current in same sense. If they are inducing current in the same sense, I can add it up. Why they are all the same sense? Because they are all the same sense as all are tending to increase the flux. So we can add all three of them. And what is the EMF? EMF is equal to 4 BAV. Any other logic we can use to solve this question, Akash?
so suppose we try doing a change in flux, sir.
Correct. Try doing change in flux. So let
Like,
me write
I'm
what is
getting
flux. Let's
like-
do that. So what is flux equal to? Flux is equal to BA square. Right? This is flux. So what is d phi by dt? Which term is changing? B is not changing, but A is changing. So d phi by dt will become equal to 2B A into dA by dt. What is the rate at which side of the what rate is the A changing? This side also is changing rate. This is also, what is the rate at which A is changing? What is dA by dt? If this is side A.
Half the rate of change of area.
No, the east side is changing with B, so this side is all V, this side also V. Actually, dA by dt will come equal to 2V. Had only one side been moving, A would have been changing at the rate of V. Since both sides are motion, dA by dt is nothing but 2V.
2V, yes, sir.
So if we put those things, what is the value we get here? This also comes equal to 4 BAV. Both ways you can do. Okay. Let's look at this one. So what has happened here? This loop, it is something, it is twisted, but this something, it is given like this. How do we solve such question? First read the question, then we'll discuss logically how to go about solving this. So hint is, consider as two loops. And place.
So A to B and D.
Now let's look at it. Let's do basic base. Let's place battery with appropriate polarity in each loop.
We can take AB as a rod and find the EMF.
No, this is not. This is something else. Magnetic field with that the magnetic
Of the
field
value,
is
sir.
increasing. So
Which
this
side is
okay.
positive?
So area is constant here. Okay. So let's say this side area is S1. This area is S2. Okay. So I have take left loop. What is so I'm taking, that's why I'm taking two different loops here. The area is changing. So dB by dt is constant. So what would be the value of phi1 flux in the left loop? Will be equal to BS1, or EMF E1 will be equal to d phi1 by dt, which will be equal to area into dB by dt. So what you notice, EMF is proportional to EMF induced is proportional to area, which makes sense. Similarly, I can calculate what is the flux to the what is the EMF induced in the second loop. How much E2 will be equal to S2 into dB by dt. Let's put the so this is the first battery and second battery. What is the polarity of this battery I should place in the first loop? First loop, which direction it will try to drive the current? So polarity, how to figure out the polarity here? What is happening here? Field is increasing. If field is increasing means flux is increasing. If flux is increasing, it will oppose by creating induced field in the dot direction. Or current also has to be which direction? Current has to be in which sense? Current has to be in dot sense. The dot sense, the current has to, it should create a battery, it should drive the current in this fashion. So to make the current flow in this direction, what must be the polarity of the battery here in the left loop? This has to be polarity of E1. And right loop also the current has to go in this direction. So what is the polarity of the battery? It has to, if the current has to flow in this direction, this is the direction of induced current. This is the direction of current here also, and this is the direction of current here. Okay, so the battery has to be posted accordingly. This is the E2. Now what you notice, are these two batteries E1 and E2? Are they driving current in the same sense, or they're trying to drive the, see how is E2, this battery is trying to drive current, is trying to drive the current from C towards B, whereas E1 is driving from B towards C. So these two batteries are in the opposite sense. Are we under, is this clear? So the two batteries, so if I look at, see if I apply, and let's say the total resistance is R. If I apply Kirchhoff loop rule here, which direction will the current flow? Of course, the current will flow in the sense of larger battery. Hence, okay. So which direction will the current flow overall in the circuit?
In the sense of
it will be dictated by current, direction of current will be dictated by battery of higher EMF. Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
that's okay. So that is something makes sense. So we can just write that part. So direction of current will is based on polarity, based on higher EMF, which is E2. So how the current will flow? Hence the direction of current. Let me write the direction. What is the direction of I? Direction of I will be from C to B to A to D to C. That's the direction in which the current will flow. Now we can answer this question.
So when we unravel it, will the direction of current change, sir?
Now, if we suppose we flip it towards this side, whether we rotate means B comes to this side, A comes to this side. We give a 180 degree rotation like this. Will the direction of current change? Still it will not change. Only thing in that case, what happens? The current value will increase. If I rotate the left triangle by 180 degree, what will happen to current? Both EMF will become in the same direction in that case. Current will increase.
So it's like a loop of BCAD.
Yes. So think of it, but just maybe you can keep a wire on your table and see we arrange like this and we arrange other way around also. See what is the differences. See what we are saying now, if I move the B here, this loop will look like this. If I rotate so that B comes to a place of A comes in the place of B, the loop may look like this.
trapezoid.
Not trapezoid.
Oh.
The wires will not cross. You understood? This part will come here. So what will happen? So they both will have same orientation. This is the orientation. So in that case, again, if I connect the battery, what will happen? The sensor battery remains same. Now what is happening?
The single loop you can find.
Yes, both are tending to drive the current in the same sense. If this becomes A and this becomes B, I flip the left part of the loop by 180 degree. Okay, how about this case? Two resistors are shown in the figure, are placed in uniform magnetic field. Loop, there's a loop A, B, C, D, and placed in uniform field. B is directed outwards of the plane of the paper. So this is the direction of B indicated. EF is the sliding conductor, length L, and this resistance is 0. This R is 0. It is moved to the right with the uniform velocity as shown. Determine the current in each branch. All we need to do such question wherever conductor is moving, what we can place battery with appropriate polarity. Where would you place the battery? Where should we place the battery? In the conductor which is in motion, where the EMF is generated.
Yes, sir.
In the conductor in motion. Okay, so I can redraw the circuit here. So if I redraw the circuit, okay, this is pretty simple. I'll just simple sense. Let's redraw. Okay, so battery polarity. How do I design the polarity? If somebody is not sure, for polarity, I can have to find out V cross B.
V cross B, sir.
And the V cross B is I cross K. B is towards us. So I cross K.
Downward.
It will be downwards minus J cap. So B is like this. Sorry, this V cross B is downwards. It means this is first, head is first. This is how the battery will be placed. In this question, it is not relevant, but some question it might be relevant. And what is the EMF? EMF is equal to BLV. And this is R1 and this is R2. Now all question we can answer. So what is the EMF between these two? So if I apply Kirchhoff loop rule, I can easily find out value of I1. I can find out value of I2. And this current will be equal to I1 plus I2. Okay. So determine the current in each branch. So this is easily we can solve. Anybody who has a doubt on this? What happened if this rod had some resistance? Whatever resistance this rod had, I would have added it here.
Internal resistance.
Okay, it becomes two loop and we can solve. In this case also what you can do, we can find the equivalent resistance. These R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. So what is the equivalent resistance in this circuit if the R was not 0? If this was equal to R, what would have been equivalent resistance? First, I would have taken these two are in parallel. They are connected across equal potential. So total resistance in the loop would have become R plus R1
R2 by R1
plus R2. And then I can calculate. So the current through the battery I will be equal to EMF by R equivalent. I can solve. That becomes a current electricity question. Okay, now coming to what happens earlier. So far we have taken translation. Now we take the case of pure rotation. So there's a conducting rod and it is set about pure rotation. This is about point O. It is rotating in a plane which is perpendicular to the magnetic field. There's a uniform magnetic field B. So conducting rod is sent to rotation with a constant angular velocity omega. This angular velocity is omega. And so this uniform magnetic field exists perpendicular to the plane of motion. So even if there's any magnetic field in the plane of motion, we can neglect. So only which magnetic field will result in EMF? Only the field which is perpendicular to plane of motion. Okay. So here, what is the EMF developed across the length of the rod? Let me call this this O to A, and length is whatever. Length is L. How do we calculate? One way, simple way of calculating, but this is something I can take. Problem is different parts of the rod will have different velocity. Everywhere the velocity is perpendicular to that particular element of the rod, but magnitude of velocities are different. It is varying as the distance from the axis of rotation. As the r changes, velocity keeps increasing. So what we'll do, we know the formula, what is EMF equal to. In case of uniform fade, EMF is equal to BLV. Only problem here, the V is not constant. V is varying with R. So what we'll do here, now whenever is something varying, so we can take this small element. We take a small element of length dr at a distance r. We'll calculate EMF here, and all EMFs will add up because all are moving in the same sense only. Okay. So what we'll do here, so that is I think logically very simple. So consider a small element of length dr at a distance r from the axis of rotation. So in that case, it will have velocity perpendicular to its length, this property of circular motion. And what is velocity? It will have r omega. So do we know what is the EMF developed across this small piece? Okay, that we can easily calculate. What D will be equal to B into L into V. B into V into L. V is equal to r omega into L is dr. Thus EMF developed a small along the small element. So what is the total EMF developed where we integrate? In total EMF will be from 0 to L. So B omega is constant. So B omega L square by 2. Thus the EMF developed across a rod of length L, which is rotating with angular velocity omega. We could have interpret in some other way also. What is the other way we can interpret? This is the rod here. What is the velocity of this end of the rod? This velocity is 0, and this end velocity is
V.
how much velocity? L omega.
R.
And velocity is varying linear fashion from here. So what I can do, another way I can think of when velocities at two ends are varying for the entire piece, actually what does it tell you? And what is the average velocity? Average velocity of the rod is L omega by 2. And that's what this expression indicates. This also is what? This is equal to B into L into average velocity. What is that equal to? B into L, average velocity is equal to L omega by 2. And it becomes very easy in several questions. So that's same term. So there are two ways of understanding. So not only here, any case, suppose I have a length of rod here, and it has this point velocity is V, and this polar velocity is 3V. And this is placed in the magnetic field length is L. Okay, and this is the velocity perpendicular to rod. What is EMF developed here? Here also I can apply, and we can mathematically prove same thing, same logic. We can take instantaneous axis of rotation, and same way we can do. And what is the EMF here? EMF also will be BLV, but which V? Average V. What is the average V here? 2V. BL into 2V. Okay, so that's what you can use. So rotation, that's what, rather than using as angular velocity, I find this is much more convenient, and it is applicable in many cases.
Yeah.
And we could, that's a B into B average into L, which this is B average where perpendicular to L, of course. So we can, any velocities are there, we can take the components. Okay. What we notice here, another thing what we notice here, rather than suppose I have potential difference depends only on the radial distance from the axis of rotation. Is this also easy to understand? So if I take potential at if I take this as reference as 0, all points rather than having a rod, suppose I have a metal sheet which is set into rotation about this point, this axis perpendicular to the plane. See, if I draw a circle here, sorry, I think I'll do other way around a little bit. I'll do slightly different way. Just a minute. Before I do, this is case what if the rod was in rotation. Let's take a slightly different case. What happens if we spin a circular ring? I have a circular ring, circular conducting ring, and this is axis, and it is rotated with angular velocity omega. This is a conducting ring of radius r. Will the potential okay, so when it comes and it is rotated with angular velocity omega, any 2 points on the ring, will the potential be same or different? Will there be any potential difference between any point on the ring? All points on the ring will be at the same potential. Can you think of reason why?
Same velocity.
No, tell me. All points on the ring will be at the same potential. All points on the ring.
Symmetry.
Another reason.
Same distance from the axis of rotation.
No, so that's at same potential. Any other reason?
There's no change in flux.
There's no change in flux also. And second thing, if I take a small element here, see why the field is not changing. In both the cases, if you take any element, direction of V and dl.
Collinear.
Collinear. So we take any element. That's why if you rotate every point. So that's another. I can take any logic you can take. You can number of ways explain. But I thought this logic also is useful. See if I rotate, so all points in the ring. If I rotate, so rather than rotating a ring, if I rotate a disc also, this is a metal disc. If I rotate, what will happen? So compared to this one, if I rotate a metal disc, as all points which are equidistant from the axis will be at same potential. All points. So we can think of several rings, and all points. It's a so we can look at two ways. So what is potential at? So all points which are equidistant from the axis of rotation will be at the same potential. It only depends on radial distance from axis of rotation. Okay. So another way of thinking would be, suppose, okay, so let me draw this one. So suppose I have a rod which is like this, O to A, and this is a circular arc like this. If I have to find potential difference this point and this point, what is potential if I rotate? What is the piece of rod I have? It's a radial length, and this part is arc of a circle of same radius. So this is a piece of metal. If I rotate the whole thing, the potential difference between O and A will be same as O and B. Is it true or not? Potential difference between O and A will be same as potential difference between O and B. Why is that so?
Same radial distance.
Same radial distance. Between A to B, if I calculate, all element dV and V are in the same direction. Okay, so this is something. So whenever we have, so whatever shape we have, so suppose, can I extend this logic here? Suppose I have a piece which is like this. I have rotated with angular velocity omega. This length is L, this length is L. This is O, this is A, and this is B. Okay, and there's a magnetic field B naught. So if I had to find what is EMF across O and B, what will be the EMF across O and B? It only depends on the radial distance. So this is what logic I'm saying. Rather than taking OB, it will be same as a rod which is connected from here to here. What will the EMF across O and B? Even here also, if I have rod OB connected like this, if this rod OB is rotating with angular velocity omega, this becomes root 2L. What is the EMF across OB will be? In place of L, I'll substitute root 2L. It will have same. Okay, I'll come to some. I think I'll come to this point again in some other question. So far what we understood from here, what are the key points to understand about rotation? I can use this. Rotation also I can treat as if any object which is in motion, if two end velocities are not same, EMF developed equal to BL into average velocity. That's one thing. Second thing what we understand, if object is in rotation, all points which are equidistant will have the same potential. So if there's some, I think that point I hope you have understood. So in that case, I can say potential, it only depends on the radial distance. All points which are equidistant will have the same potential. So we'll apply to some more cases. One more example, I give something like this. Okay. So if a circular ring is set into rotation, there's no potential difference between any 2 points on the ring. Let's look at some simpler application. Read the first 2 questions. You have cycle wheels. Okay, okay. So let me draw a circle. You have cycle wheel, and there's a metal rim. So this also, these are spokes, and this is rim. Let's assume both are conductors. Okay, and we have put the cycle on the stand, it started rotating. What happened to the tube? You remove the tube, whatever. Okay, now when you start rotating, what is necessary for EMF to develop? There has to be a magnetic field through the surface of the wheel here. So assume that we have placed in such a way, there's a magnetic field. Let's say the magnetic field is like this. There's a magnetic field present, which could be because of external magnet, which could be because of magnetic field. So when I rotate, there's a potential difference between point. If I take a point on the center of the wheel, I take another point A on the rim. Let's say the length of the spoke is L. There'll be EMF. How much EMF will be?
It's like batteries connected in parallel, right?
Yeah, it is like batteries connected in parallel. So if batteries are connected in parallel, if each battery has EMF VE, all of them also will have same EMF. So if I change the number of spokes also, rather than having 10 spokes, if I have 10 spokes equal to 10 batteries of E connected in parallel, if I have 20 spokes, will the potential difference change? When they're connected in parallel, potential difference does not change. If all batteries are connected in parallel, all batteries have same EMF, resultant EMF is same as, so if it is connected like this, if number of batteries are connected like this, and if there's no internal resistance, what is the equivalent EMF here? Equivalent EMF is EMF of each battery. So here also the EMF, it will not depend on the number of spokes. So suppose I rotate this wing. Can I use this arrangement to light up a bulb? Can you think of a method? How do I light up a bulb with this arrangement?
Yes, sir. We connect the terminals to the center and the rim.
So what I need to do, so I have to have a sliding contact here. Which point? So all points on the rim have the same potential. So suppose I have a sliding contact here, bush kind of thing, and I connect a bulb here, and other point of bulb I place it at the center. I'll find this light will lit up, and faster I rotate the wing, faster I rotate the wheel, it will appear brighter. Okay, so what I need to do, so this, it has to be connected to 2 points which are at the potential difference, and this kind of thing can be done, and you can conduct an experiment. If they are metal, yes, it will lit up. Okay, so current in R. Okay, so if one resistance is connected, yes. So this arrangement, okay. And this question, if a copper disc of radius rotated with angular velocity in this uniform magnetic field, find the EMF between center of the disc and the rim. The center of the disc and the rim, if it is a disc also it will be same, and if it is a rod of length R also same. So potential difference does not matter whether this something, if the disc is rotating, I can imagine the disc as several, yes. So what is the potential difference between the center and the point? It will again be equal to BLV average, which will be equal to B into, if radius is R, and this will be R omega by 2. So we can also remember whichever way B omega R square by 2. So whether it's a disc or there is spokes in between or there's a rod, all cases, if the distance from the axis is same and omega is same, potential difference is same. So what are 3 cases here? If rod of length R is rotated, or if there are several spokes in the wheel, or it is a conductor metal disc. If all have radius R, if all are rotated with angular velocity omega, the potential difference between center and the periphery will be same. Okay, the last one, I think. Okay, so in this case also, okay, so maybe I'll do it tomorrow. So this almost time is up. So those who are in a hurry can leave, and anybody has any query, you can ask now. So far what you had done. So this is something, okay, these questions, this we'll do tomorrow, some more questions. Yeah, these are 4 or 5 questions left, which we'll do tomorrow. So far what we have done, any queries or doubts? Anvita,
Yes, sir.
how much has gone into your head?
Pretty much, sir.
Pretty much, okay. Bhagishri,
Yes, sir.
how much has gone into your head?
Almost all of it, sir.
And if again go see that everything, go to the entire thing. If something is not clear, please clarify in the evening. Because some of you are not getting, I think there's some small gaps here and there. You definitely can get better marks, you can do better. So Bhagishri, I expect you also to do better. You're not doing so as well as would have expected. All right, Bhagishri,
Yes.
okay, who else? Jaideep, how much is Jaideep?
Yes, sir.
What you done today? Is it medium, easy, or difficult?
Easy only, sir.
Easy only. I also feel it's fairly. It's this something. If you go through every part, it's not very difficult thing, and the direction also once you understand. Karthikeya,
Yes, sir.
any doubt so far?
No, sir.
And please go through before we have evening session. Please go through whatever you have done today and what we did yesterday. And people are not asking. Some of you, if you have any doubt, please come and ask specifically which part is not clear.
Okay, sir.
So anybody else has any other query? Vignesh?
Yes, sir.
Every part clear?
Yes, sir.
And many questions, there are multiple ways of solving, and sometimes you have to think which is the best way and how to go about it. So I think fairly okay. So all parts, all questions are okay. So nobody has any question today?
I'm thinking, sir.
Think of some question. If not, there is something may come. Think of Halal.
Yes, sir. That thing. Sir, if we have two rods here with normal length, and we have
rods of